This one, crypto ETP filings hit 155, tracking 35 digital assets, Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas. And this is one of a couple stories I'm sharing with you that absolutely will launch XRP price over a span of time. It's just amazing. I know you're paying attention, so I'm preaching to the choir here, but there are so many developments in the XRP ecosystem that are unquestionably setting XRP up for ridiculous future growth, because we're just now finally seeing TradFi seriously embrace the world of crypto, specifically because for the first time in history, the United States is now officially pro-crypto because Trump won the election. That's why that's happening. And the United States is the largest capital market on the entire damn planet. And so as a result, given that we're in this environment, yes, absolutely, more money is going to flow into these risk-on assets. And then there's also this. Ripple chairman dumps 50 million XRP on retail investors. Experts debunk claims. This one made me laugh. It turns out, not only is that nonsense and not true, the story actually, if you get into it, this actually is another thing that is going to help to ensure the long-term viability of XRP and much higher prices. It's just yet another thing. And then I'll wrap up the video with this one. Ripple CTO warns of huge phishing surge as seed phrases become targets. And that's, of course, David Schwartz, one of the creators of XRP and the XRP Ledger. If you can stick around to the end of the video, please do, because he's putting out a warning. And this is the type of thing that you need to understand so that you don't become a victim of somebody trying to steal your XRP. Story, 155 crypto ETP filings. Well, they're referencing this post from Eric Balchunas, who's pretty famous in the world of crypto now. He's a senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. He shared this screen grab showing various assets for which there are filings with the SEC, and it shows the number of filings per coin since 2024. And of course, we do have some baskets that went live, some multi-coin ETFs, and also beyond that, there's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. But everything else on the list, we're still waiting to get approval from the SEC, which I believe is coming. I firmly believe XRP is going to get approved this year, multiple XRP spot ETFs. But here's what Eric Balchunas had to say. There's now 155 crypto ETP filings tracking 35 different digital assets. And I'll pause to note here that an ETP, exchange-traded product, is the overall category. An ETF, exchange-traded fund, that's the ETF is a type of ETP. And there's at least 3 different types of ETPs. ETF is just one of them. And so then he says, could easily end up seeing over 200 hit the market in the next 12 months. Total land rush. Here's the list by coin. And this is why I've also said BlackRock is going to jump in, and they're going to want a piece of XRP, even if they're allowing the competition to move in first. And I think that they're just kind of cocky about it, and perhaps rightfully so. There's been all sorts of speculation from people in the know who work in finance that have said, honestly, it doesn't matter if they don't move first. They have such weight to throw around that if they decide to jump in, if they see that their competitors are getting traction with like an XRP ETF, fine, let those competitors take on the risk of trying a new product out. BlackRock's attitude is basically like, hey, we don't have to be the first mover on this. They can just come in and eat their lunch. That's basically the perspective that I'm seeing shared, and maybe they're correct about that. But I wanted to highlight here. So again, throw out Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those, they already have products that are live, and yes, there are more that are filed that that will go live in the future. But set them aside, just because the more interesting conversation is with the coins that haven't had anything launched yet, because we're still waiting on that. So look at the two at the top. There's Solana with 23 filings, and then there's XRP behind it with 20 filings. Does that mean that there's actually more interest in Solana than XRP? Actually, no. Actually, XRP's at the top of the list if the list were ranked by the number of companies that were filing ETFs, which I think is more important. You'd have XRP at the top of the list because there are, to my count, I'm pretty sure the number is 12. 12 different companies that are filing various XRP ETFs, and they're not all spot. So there's a lot of them are spot XRP ETFs, but there are also leveraged ones. You can have a 2x, for instance, a 3x, 5x leverage. You can have a long, you can have a short. And so that's why Solana has more. There's just more types of ETFs filed for Solana, but there's more individual companies that have interest in filing XRP, which I think is a more important metric, frankly. Either way, there's wild interest for both of them, Solana and XRP. Not to take anything away from Solana. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm just noting it's pretty cool that XRP is actually at the top of the heap, right at the top of the list, if that's the metric that you're looking at, which in my humble opinion is the more important one. And so once these finally get approved, what do you think happens? Like, just a boatload of money is going to flow into XRP. And the spot XRP ETFs are backed by actual XRP, so it materially impacts the supply and demand dynamics. And you know what another cool thing is? The fact that XRP has persisted, and it's one of only 3 coins that has always been in the top 10 coins by market cap for its entire existence. Bitcoin, ETH, and XRP, they're the only 3 coins that have always been in the top 10. And because XRP has this level of success, it makes it way more likely that even more money is going to flow into it. It's the same concept as like, once you're rich, it's easier to get even more crazily rich, but it's harder to get rich in the first place. But once there's something in motion like this, oh yeah. The amount of money that's going to flow in because of this otherworldly, basically. And so look at what Nate Garachi had to say, and I'll explain what I mean by this. He wrote, on this topic here, with all these findings, he says, my takeaway from this. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, he's the president of Nova Dias Wealth, formerly the ETF store. Says, highly bullish on index-based and actively managed crypto ETFs. No way TradFi investors ready to navigate all of these single tokens. They're going to take a diversified shotgun approach to an emerging asset class. Seems obvious. Spot on. And I've talked about this before, but the reason this matters for you if you're an XRP holder is what's going to be most popular with all sorts of financial advisors, which are now feeling pressure to make sure that their clients get exposure to the crypto asset class. They're not going to want to pick winners and losers. They're not going to want to pick individual coins, even if they're large caps. They're going to be like, no, shotgun approach. Here's an ETF that tracks the top 5 coins, top 10 coins, so on and so forth. And you know what gets shoved in there because it's XRP, because it's already had that success. Since it's in the top 10 coins by market cap, it's going to get shoved into so many multi-coin ETFs, and it's going to be backed by actual XRP, mind you. And because of that, an insane amount of money is going to flow in that otherwise wouldn't. So the fact that it's already been successful means it gets additional free success, effectively. It's free. It's basically free. It's for people, like, he's right here. There's going to be all sorts of finance advisors that don't want to pick individual coins, so they're just going to lump it all together, and XRP is just going to be a piece of that. So way more money is going to flow into XRP because it's already been successful to this point. Isn't that badass? That's freaking awesome, man. This is materially going to matter. But we still get negative stories. Ripple chairman dumps 50 million XRP on retail investors. Experts debunk claims. XRP community figures have pushed back against recent claims by crypto quants analyst Martin, who suggested Ripple chairman Chris Larsen was dumping his tokens on retail investors. Martin took to X yesterday to alert the XRP community that the Ripple chairman had transferred 50 million XRP from his wallet. At the time of the post, the transaction was valued at approximately $120 million. Notably, he suggested that while XRP investors continue to hold their tokens, Larsen is cashing out, offloading his tokens to retail clients. And I just got a quick question here. First of all, he wasn't just dumping on the market, but even if he were dumping his coins on the market for profit, should he not be allowed to do that? I mean, he's been holding XRP for over a freaking decade. Can he take profit? Is he allowed to? Or are you guys going to bitch at him every freaking time? I mean, not you guys listening, but you know what I mean. The toxic Bitcoin max listener. You're just going to bitch every time that he takes profit because XRP is worth a fortune? Because XRP was worth like 0 cents when he got his allocation of XRP, just to be clear, wasn't even traded on the open market. He couldn't have known that it would go to $3.65 in 2025. He couldn't have known that. So then he has this, though. He owns it. It's rightfully his. It's his personal asset. And then when he wants to take some profit after being in this for over a decade and helping to build out the XRP ecosystem, all the good stuff that he's done, what, he doesn't deserve to have the profit? Shut the hell up. But your Bitcoin miners, they're allowed to take profit. They're fine, right? Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. And so this is the post that they're talking about. This guy Martin right here with CryptoQuant says, now Chris Larsen, Ripple co-founder, just offloaded 50 million XRP worth $120 million in the past hour. Still buying the hype? He's cashing out. You're holding the bag. Shut the hell up, you idiot stick. You know, the only reason somebody would type something like this is if they suffer from XRP derangement syndrome. He has to. He has to suffer from the affliction known as XRP derangement syndrome. So somebody takes profit. and XRP's been trending up for the past year, mind you. Somebody takes profit, and it's a large profit, and that's the assertion here anyway. And that means that what? Now it's over because this one guy did this one thing and XRP can't go higher now? Is that the logic here? He's cashing out this one guy, and then I'm holding the bag? You idiot stick. How about think about this logically? Again, he didn't take profit. Not that there's anything wrong with that if he wanted to. $120 million, that's what it was worth. Okay. Look at the 24-hour volume for XRP. $3.7 billion. Even if he had sold $120 million worth of XRP, it wouldn't have changed the price at all, even if it flooded the market all at once. That's a tiny percentage of 1 day of activity. 1 day. A tiny percentage of 1 day of XRP price. But he's dumping and suppressing the market? How stupid actually are you? You damn fool. He has to know better than this. He works at Crypto Quant. He can't be stupid. He's driving a narrative that's bogus. Because reasons. That's why I say he must suffer from the affliction known as XRP derangement syndrome. But again, that's not even actually what happened here. As pointed out by attorney Bill Morgan of the XRP community, he says, cashing straight into Evernorth, which is a new XRP treasury company, so yep, might hold an XRP bag for a while. And that's exactly what happened. And I covered this story the other day in great detail. There's a new treasury company, and all sorts of firms are putting money in this firm. They're doing effectively the same thing as what Michael Saylor's strategy is doing, formerly known as MicroStrategy. Same concept. Very similar anyway. Boatload of money flowing into XRP as a result. Larson contributed to that. Here's the post from Chris Larson. It says, Evernorth fills the missing link today in XRP capital markets and XRP usage in DeFi products. I'm proud to invest 50 million XRP in the firm. You may see some wallet movement on this. It was already publicly known. That's what it was. And again, had he been selling, that would have been perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with him taking profit. But that's not what he did. It went to Evernorth, which is great for the entire XRP ecosystem. What a dipshit here. Jesus fucking Christ. And then you had this guy. This is why we can't have nice things. This guy named Ted. Get out of here, Ted. Get the hell out of here, Ted. With his 222,000 followers. So he was spreading the message from Martin, and he wrote, XRP team keeps dumping on your head. Why is everyone so bullish on Ripple? So he's conflating XRP and Ripple, of course. Great, okay. So he doesn't understand. Does he not understand? One's a company and one's a decentralized cryptocurrency. He just doesn't get this. And so I responded with the following. I wrote, Bitcoin miners keep dumping on your head. Why is everyone so bullish on Bitcoin? See how stupid the logic is when you just plug in a different coin? Because that's what they're doing. The Bitcoin miners, they're just dumping on your head. Mining Bitcoin, dumping on your head. Why is everyone so bullish on Bitcoin? You see how stupid that is? He's saying the same thing here, except for with Ripple and XRP. This is what we have to put up. This is why we can't have these things, folks. This is why we cannot. But also, I'm glad I have this channel so I can mock this because it's just the stupidest shit. And then there's this Ripple CTO warns of huge phishing surge as seed phrases become targets. Be vigilant out there, especially as your XRP becomes worth more and more as time passes. This is from David Schwartz. Huge increase in phishing emails claiming hardware wallet security upgrades or verification processes. Ignore any such messages you receive unless you can independently confirm them, and never enter a hardware wallet seed phrase into anything other than the hardware wallet. And folks, please don't forget that. If you haven't been using, like, say, your Ledger Nano S or whatever the hell hardware wallet you have, if you haven't used it in maybe years because you're like me and you don't pick it up, you may forget that you actually don't enter the seed into the actual software on your computer. If you download software and it's trying to get you to do that, that is fake software trying to steal from you. You only enter it into your actual hardware wallet. Don't fall for any of the stuff. Just be vigilant out there. I want everybody in our community to do well with XRP. I know that many of you are going to achieve life-changing wealth, but please don't let somebody trick you with something like this. So I thought it was a message worth sharing here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? That would be a very, very, very bad idea.